Welcome to the Will and Dave Show, where we talk about hard things whether it is comfortable or not. We think these conversations are necessary and important. We think that having different opinions is crucial to a healthy discourse. So please, sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy.
Hey, William.
Hey, Dave. How do?
Good, but I can just hardly hear you, bud.
I'm quiet. That's a new problem.
I turned you up a little bit here.
Okay.
Just swallow that microphone.
I'll do my best.
Well, I think we fixed our audio issues from last week. Had a few.
We did. We fixed it real good.
Fixed it.
I'm not going to go any further with that phrasing.
Well, we are here with these silly things on the screen. Why don't we do the buy me a coffee, get it out of our hair?
Yeah. If you would like to support the show for the price of a cup of coffee, you can go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Will and Dave Show. There's no "the" in there for us because they wouldn't let us.
That
And for the
thing
price of a
right
cup of
up
coffee,
there
you
at the
can-
top of the screen, right there, that thing.
You can help support the show, and as we try to grow it and reach a wider audience.
It shows how much our listeners are supporting us. I never even go and check it anymore.
We are also supported by Stitched by Susan,
Yes.
our lovely longtime. At this point, she's basically the producer of the show.
She was down working on my lights earlier this evening. So
Phenomenal media empire in the making, all based around quilting.
quilting live streams, quilting masterclasses, quilting videos, everything quilting you can find at Stitch by Susan. Whether
And a
that's on
podcast,
Instagram,
which
Facebook, and a podcast, Measure Twice, Cut Once.
Yes, and she's absolutely
She's-
killing it.
She's crushing it. So yes, for all your quilting needs, even if you're somebody who doesn't really have a vested interest in quilting, I do genuinely recommend checking it out just because the sheer level of artistry that she puts into the stitching of those quilts is impressive.
She's amazing. And our other sponsor of the show is Northern Truss. And this is one thing I have up on my son. I know the phone number.
I don't need
250-787-3033. And if you go to Northern Truss, you can get all of your roof needs. If you're after metal,
needs.
or if you're interrupting me over there, and now you derailed my train. It's not flooring needs, it's floor system needs, because if you want
There you
flooring, there's no carpet or hardwood floors there.
It's very true.
Which, if you go in their office, you'll understand why. They have very poor flooring. Maybe they should open a flooring shop. So, but yeah, and so yes, that is our other sponsor of the show, Northern Truss in Fort St. John, BC, and they serve
Yes.
all of northeastern BC and all northwestern Alberta.
And
That's
the reason I
good.
don't know the phone number is because I don't call Northern Trust for help. Northern Trust calls me
Ah.
for help.
Hey, what happened to you?
I don't know. You tell me.
There you are.
You're the guy running the show.
Yeah, but you're on the wrong side now. I want to be on that side.
Too bad.
There. Okay, that's better.
Deal with it. So last week we kind of had a getting back into the swing of things week. This week we actually have some news to cover. Not
Yeah,
there
we
hasn't
don't
been
like
news
it.
in the interim.
We don't like any of the news.
I mean, it's interesting, right? I mean, this is what we do. We talk about mostly the news.
Yeah.
This is kind of our shtick. This is our dealio. As we talk about these things. So where should we start today? Because we've got kind of pick of the litter.
Well, I'm going to give you your rant
Okay.
because it has to do with a guy that I don't want to give the time of day to. So I'm going to let you do the rant.
I don't want to either. So for those of you who've been listening to the show for a long time, I don't like Alex Jones and his website InfoWars. A few years back, he was deplatformed off of most major social media sites for saying some pretty inflammatory things about a wide range of different incidents. But the one we're going to take note of today is the Sandy Hook shooting in the States, where he claimed on his show on multiple occasions that the shooting was a hoax, that the parents were paid actors, and that it was all a false flag. The parents of the children who died did not take kindly to that and have sued him over it. I'm not going to go into the details, but if you want a good chuckle, I highly recommend checking out the court proceedings from that, because it is an absolute gong show. Just bonkers how poorly Jones's legal team has handled it. And the end result is that he has now been sentenced to pay, I believe, $49 million in punitive damages mostly, which is only about a third of what the parents are actually seeking, but still a lot. He's still going to try and wiggle out of it. He and his parent company are filing for bankruptcy as we speak. We'll see how that all rolls out. But the long story short is that every now and then, at least a tiny little modicum of justice seems to get handed out in the world. And in this case, it's landing squarely on Alex Jones's head, and I couldn't be happier. That's about all I have to say about it is suck it, Alex Jones. If you're listening to this,
Suck it.
yeah.
I ran away this weekend with your mother because we are celebrating 32 years of wedded bliss. Wedded bliss for me. I'm not sure that it was
was gonna
bliss
say,
for her.
How'd you rope her into that one?
I tell everybody, this is no secret. Anybody who knows me, they know I married up, and I am happy for it. I'm sure I've complained about her in the past, but none of it was warranted, and maybe some of it was. But
I sit back here and I try to think of things you've criticized, you've complained about Mom for, and only one pops to mind, which is never answering her phone.
oh, that is a real one.
I think you've complained about that more than I can
my
shake a
gosh.
stick at. Sorry, Mom, to throw you under the bus like that.
I don't complain much. And this is a word. So I'm old. I've been married for 32 years. Happily married, I might add. This is a word for those of you who are married, who go out with your buddies and complain about your wife. You shouldn't do that. You really shouldn't.
Yeah.
Enough said.
I wouldn't want my coworkers complaining about me to my other coworkers. Why would I want my spouse complaining about me behind my back? That doesn't track.
Well, it isn't even that they want them to. It looks bad. It looks
That's what I
bad.
mean,
When
like-
guys get together and I've been married for 10 years, don't know what sex is like anymore. You're like, excuse me,
You should work on that then.
we don't want to hear about it. Because most of the people you're complaining to are probably getting it more than you, and there probably is a good reason for that. So, anyways, enough sex talks for today.
Yeah, I'm okay without this particular sex talk.
Speaking of sex talks, do you remember years ago, the Royal Canadian Air Farce?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Sex with Sue? It was an episode,
Vaguely.
and you were the one that found the clip or found the track on a CD or something. Yes, you found it. I think it was actually on a video that we had of Royal Air Farce. You come and said, "Dad, what does this mean?"
I mean, I did listen to we had a CD of theirs, and I listened to it
And
religiously.
I think that's
as a
what it
child.
was. I think it was a CD.
It's like
So
I
I-
wouldn't shut up with my Joe Clark laugh as a kid. So yeah, I listened to it a lot.
So that was my weekend, was relaxing, doing absolutely nothing. And I I say that. I'd redo the brakes on the car when I was over in Seattle. That was expensive.
I'm going to be doing it again right after this podcast. I made mojo pork, so I'm making cubanos tonight right after the podcast.
Ah,
That's been a project for the weekend.
sweet.
So it's like a 24-hour plus project to do that,
Ay, ay, ay. See,
all for a sandwich.
not worth it.
Hope it's worth it. Yeah, we'll see.
I guess
Last
you
time I
know.
made it, I had no regrets. I mean, I'm doing it again.
Man, oh man,
So-
that's way too long. So
I mean,
am
it's
I
not all work,
higher
but
than you, or do I need to scrunch, or
I can try and sit up a little bit.
you can raise your camera? Either or. There we go. That's better.
That's a little better.
That makes me happy.
I am taller than you.
I mean, I am on a higher level than you and higher plane than you because I'm old and I'm conservative. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of conservative, what's with you Canadians and handguns?
Apparently, the government doesn't like them.
I
It's
just
going
have
to be
to throw
interesting to
this-
see.
I just have to throw this up there for a moment. Has anybody shown this to Trudeau?
I don't know. I
Do you
mean,
think maybe somebody should?
it's one of those.
It's simplified, I get it, but
Yeah, it's a reductionist argument, but there's a certain level, a certain grain of common sense to it that I think still rings true to a degree, at least. I mean, I don't like the statement as a whole, but at its core, it has some value to it.
is there anybody in their right mind who thinks that the criminals in Canada are going to turn their handguns in?
No.
So
No.
who is?
And the current legislation they're pushing through doesn't involve, at least as far as I know, doesn't involve turning anything in. It's
No.
an import ban.
You're right. It's an import ban.
So it's less about curtailing the guns that are in Canada and more about just making it harder to get more into Canada. Which I would imagine the United States, who produces a lot of handguns, is going to have beef with that. I imagine they're going to raise a little bit of a stink over
It's
that.
such a
happening
small
'cause
piece of their market. I doubt they care.
it's,
I think Idaho
One of the-
buys more guns than Canada.
22% of Canadians own at least one firearm, and something like 6% of them own a handgun, I think. 6% of 35 million people is still some kind of market. Yeah, you're right. Idaho probably has more, but
So what I found interesting about this latest freeze on the import of handguns is that it was an end run around enacting the ban on the sale of handguns, which is coming in after September.
Well,
And-
they're trying to put it in. That's the thing, is that they
Right.
haven't been able to get that one through Parliament yet, and so they're using their emergency powers to do this right now.
Well, this isn't
until
even
they can
emergency
get it through
powers.
Parliament.
This is
It
just
isn't?
an act that they're or a
Well, yeah. Sorry, yeah, but it's a temporary thing. They can only do it for so long.
no,
Yeah,
no. Well,
my
yes,
understanding
it's
is that
temporary.
they're doing this now. It's temporary until they can push the other one through Parliament
Right.
in September.
So it just is an end run. They're saying, hey, we really want to get guns out of Canada or stop
Mm-hmm.
guns from coming to Canada. And so we're just going to put this in until our law.
actually comes into play.
Right. Which is, if you think that the law is all that in a bowl of chips, why do you need to go about this? Or is it because maybe you think it might not fly?
I think a part of it is might not fly. I suspect that their reasoning for it is twofold.
Okay.
One, with their constituents, people who are big into gun control, it just looks good. We're putting in extra effort to do it faster. And then two, I think by suspicion, is they're doing it now. They're going to get all the outrage out of the way. And then by the time it rolls around in September for them to put the law into practice in full effect, the news cycle will have moved on to something else, and a good chunk of the population will have forgotten all about it.
And that's very probable.
That's my suspicion. I think that's why they're doing it.
So I
Because they're
read
hoping
the
the public discourse
C-21
will
this
move past it.
afternoon.
Mhm.
You guys are crazy up there.
How so?
Have you read the law? The
Not in its
proposed bill?
not in its entirety, no.
You should just read the highlights.
Okay.
If I'm your neighbor and I don't like you,
Mhm.
and I have a video of you with a gun,
Mhm.
I can report you and have your gun without a judge's warrant. I can have your guns removed for 30 days.
Mhm.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
What if I don't like you?
Yeah.
And I want to make your life miserable.
Yeah.
I can do that without a judge's warrant.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't know if you're looking at me to support it
No,
or to uphold that, because I don't.
I guess I'm looking at you guys as Canadians and saying, I'm not a gun guy. I don't own guns,
Mhm.
but I want the right to own guns. And I think that is, and not even the right. I just want the ability to own a gun. Like,
Mhm.
it just,
I mean, I think this is also their idea of a workaround to handguns. We don't produce a lot of handguns in Canada. Really, we don't.
I bet
so
you're going to
in many
get a
ways,
new
they're gonna-
company starting soon.
Oh, you better believe it. Either we're going to have a new company, or a company is going to make a production center somewhere in Canada.
Yeah. We can't import
yeah,
them. That's okay. We'll start a
them
factory
here.
up in Inuvik.
Which, I mean, hey, cool. We'll have more work here. That's kind of nice, I guess. I think that's an unintended. I don't think that's their intent.
No,
I think that's just a happy byproduct.
it's not their intent. I agree
A
with you.
silver lining at best.
I agree.
I think we've talked in some length about gun control and how I don't think that how Canada manages gun control is the right way to go about it. I want better gun control. I want better background checks. I want better mental health services around firearms use. But I don't think that what they're doing is going to do much good.
I think it makes the criminals happy. That's what I think.
I don't know if they care very much because they're buying them illegally anyways.
Oh.
And it's not like people in Canada can carry them around with them anyways. You don't
It
have
just
good
is
guys
less
with guns
protection
in Canada.
out there for normal people.
I'm not afraid of a handgun if I break into a house. I'm afraid of a shotgun.
Well, that
And
too,
that's
yeah.
still easily ownable. A handgun
agree.
will wound me and maybe kill me. A shotgun will probably obliterate me inside of a home. If I get
Yeah.
shot with a shotgun, I am probably ground beef at that point.
There is that. Well, there's a good mental
Fun
picture for
fact. Yeah.
you
Fun
folks
fact,
out
shotguns in movies and video games don't even hold a candle to real life shotguns. They're terrifying.
there. Okay.
But
On
yeah.
to topic number 2. Orange-haired guy.
Ah, yes. The Mar-a-Lago? Mar-a-Lago? Is that what place?
Yeah,
it's
the
in
Mar-a-Lago
Florida?
raid.
Yeah. I love the word raid. It has a very powerful negative connotation. much more powerful than exercising a warrant,
Exercise a search warrant. Exactly.
search warrant. Yeah, raid is a much more interesting word. Totally. Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is after the raid he gets a
Oh,
bump
yeah.
in the polls.
Oh yeah. Did you see? I saw a couple of reactions to it. Did you see Crowder's reaction?
No,
Oh,
I
he
don't watch
cried on
Crowder.
air. I think.
I
I
don't
don't
watch
watch Crowder
Crowder.
either. You used to watch Crowder. You used to send me links to Crowder back in the day.
Well, okay, I'm going to say I don't like him. I watch.
Yeah.
I'm one of those on YouTube who watch a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So I'll watch a Crowder and then I'll go. And for Crowder, I'll watch like a minute and a half, and then I'll go watch half hour of John Oliver,
Yeah.
just to balance out.
Mhm.
If I'm gonna have one left wing or right wing nutcase, I better have a left wing nutcase to
At least John
balance it out.
Oliver is entertaining. That's the upside. But yeah, he was talking about how it was like some big watershed moment that this is the kind of thing you tell your kids and your grandkids. And I mean, I laughed. I genuinely laughed in my car when he said that out loud.
Well,
He thought that this was something that substantial.
I think it's interesting though, and this is where I think that history will shine a light on this. I don't think we know where it's going to end up now, but how the fallout for this ends.
I don't know if there's going to be any.
Well,
It's
to
going to be kicked
raid
around as a political football.
Well, to raid an ex-president it's pretty substantial. It hasn't
I mean-
happened yet, I don't think.
For an ex-president to walk away with multiple boxes of documents from the White House is also relatively unprecedented.
No,
So-
a number of them have done that, and that's been documented. It's not out to lunch. It just is. I'm not saying it's right, and I don't know what he took, and
Yeah.
if it was
I just-
declassified, I don't know. But
I just look at it as play stupid games, win stupid prizes type thing. Like
well,
I feel like
think-
you're inviting it, especially when you're Trump, and you have to be at least somewhat cognizant of how much people want to nail you to a cross.
I don't know that he did it.
All right, anyone in his camp did it. Anyone.
Well, that I guess will be the interesting who actually was the ones who picked the paper. I don't think he went around and said
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to keep a copy of the nuclear codes. You know,
I don't think he's smart enough for that.
I think he's smarter than you give him credit for, but I don't think that he's that kind of smart. So
Yeah.
it is interesting though, and this is one that I thought was interesting, and we were talking off air about this. The approval rating of Biden is falling,
Yeah.
and the disapproval rating is
It's somewhat to be
climbing.
expected. I mean, I don't know how well it correlates to other previous presidents within.
I was going
2
to look
years
that
of
up
being elected.
actually.
But I don't think it's the whole thing. I think it's also that everyone expected Biden or hoped Biden was going to make big sweeping changes after ousting Trump. But the fact of the matter is, the way the House and the Senate are, he can't. Even if he did actually plan to follow through with campaign promises, like every president ever always does, he's still hamstrung by a Senate that isn't in his favor.
I'm just looking. Oh man, that's not a good one.
Following the first 100 days.
Where was it? Let's try that one. Approval, disapproval. Well,
So where's Biden at? I can't see because your face is over it.
oh, I'm
His,
sorry.
percentage of changes. That doesn't. They must not have calculated his yet.
Well, it's right
Go
at the
back to
bottom.
your- Yeah, but that's the percentage. It doesn't show the percentage of change.
Yeah, it's 0%. It's on the right hand side.
Oh, okay.
But I don't
Yeah,
think this is right. I think
I don't
it's
know.
after 100 days.
But yeah,
You know
I
what?
think a big part of it is just that everyone had such high hopes for him after Trump, and I think those were unrealistic hopes. It's funny because people were like, Biden, I guess he's the best chance we've got. We don't really like him, but we're going to vote for him anyways because at least he's not Trump. But then he's in, and everyone's like, we had such high hopes. And like, no, you didn't. I feel like people are just being dramatic about it.
Did I send you the picture of the shirt for Biden's shirt? Did I not send that to you?
so.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find that while we're just sitting
You gonna
here.
whip it up on the screen for us, there,
Nattering.
baby? You gonna put it up on the monitor?
I am actually. I just have to find it.
On screen number 1? If anyone gets that reference, I like you guys. I appreciate everyone who gets that reference. You're the right kind of people.
No,
Earth needs more of you.
no, of course I can't find it.
Buy a man, eat fish, he day teach man to a lifetime. I feel like I had a stroke just reading that. I feel bad for equating that vocal faux pas to a stroke, but I thought I was losing my mind trying to read that out loud for a second.
I saw that. I was showing your mother or something. I can't remember who I was showing, and it started to read like, "What is this?" And I said, "It's an actual quote."
Yeah,
But I'm not convinced that it wasn't a joke. And I think anybody who takes any political leader, if you look to Trump or Dan Quayle or George W. Bush, I mean the
We've done it
king
with
of
every
gaffes
president.
was Bush. I mean, he was horrible.
Nuclear.
Yes. So no, I just saw that. That was just
Biden
priceless.
trips over his own words. Bush was nuclear, and Trump. I mean, Trump had more than we know what to do with. We made fun of his public speaking to no end.
Yes.
So I don't get bent out of shape at people mocking Biden's public speaking because I feel like it's all part and parcel. Like, don't get me wrong, Trump is infinitely mockable, but I mean, so are most presidents.
Yes, they are. You know, the one that
Except Teddy Roosevelt. Don't mess with Teddy Roosevelt. He's my hero.
Why is he your hero?
Why?
Yeah.
The list is
Teddy?
long.
Okay, give me some.
I mean, what a cool name. Teddy Roosevelt. It's both masculine, but also approachable. His mustache, beautiful. Beautiful. He had innumerable health problems as a child, and apparently his decision was, I'm just going to work myself harder till I get over it. And he did, which is terrible life advice, but cool in retrospect.
Why is that terrible life advice?
Because you don't just work harder to get over health problems. You should probably look at what's causing the health problems, because they ended up killing him eventually. But
Yeah, but he had a good life. He became the president and he did stuff.
true. This is true.
So, I mean,
Apparently he got shot while giving a speech and decided to finish the speech, which, like, that is BAMF levels of awesome.
what is BAMF?
Badass motherfucker.
Okay, well, there's your swear word for the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's just there's a joke, and I think it goes Chuck Norris eats rocks and craps lightning.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt eats Chuck Norris and craps rocks. But also, though, on a more realistic note, like, those are all funnies.
Right.
He was the president that championed conservationism initially. He is a large part of the reason that national parks exist in the United States, because he was very big into conservationism. He was also the president that put a lot of work into antitrust laws, breaking up oil and rail companies to allow for a more fair and open market. He did a lot of that stuff. So when I reference breaking up those large companies and antitrust movements from the government like that, he did a lot of that work. And so I appreciate that from him. And he did that all as a Republican.
Oh, he was also the one who did the Great New Deal.
He was.
Yes.
He
yes.
did
after
a lot
the
of
Great
very
Depression.
landmark things.
Yes. And the Second New Deal.
Mm. And then what was the subsequent president was Taft, I believe. Wasn't it Taft that followed him?
I don't remember.
Because he tried to groom a friend of his to be the president, and when that guy started to get power, apparently he went a bit off the rails, and so Teddy Roosevelt tried to run against him and didn't win. And in response to that, he went off to war somewhere. He went off to, like, lead a cavalry regiment or something, because that's what he does in his free time, I guess, was go run military conflicts. It's like, I'm not running the country. I'll go run a freaking cavalry unit instead.
So here's one for you. If you had to pick like in Canada, one of your prime ministers got to be your hero, who would it be? Or do you even know who they are?
I don't know of a prime minister off the top of my head that is hero worthy. And I don't think Teddy Roosevelt is necessarily hero worthy. I use the word hero loosely. I mean, you know me. I don't tend to worship at the altar of anyone, pop culture or otherwise. I like people and impressed by certain acts, but I don't actually hold anyone to any kind of altar. Um, I can't think of a Canadian prime minister off the top of my head because like people like McDonald who were monumental were also apparently big old dickholes. So it's kind of hard. I would love to talk to Trudeau Senior if I could like pick a prime minister to talk to. I would love to talk to Trudeau Senior because he seemed like such an interesting human being. Although I don't necessarily think he was a great leader. Same with the current one. Um, but yeah, if I had to pick
How
any
about Harper?
historical figure, do you do you want an honest opinion or a funny opinion?
Give me honest and then funny.
Honest opinion, I don't think I'd have a lot to relate to with him because I think a lot of the great things that he did were in regards to finance, which I understand very little of.
Okay. And funny.
Oh, if I wanted to talk to a rock, I'd go out into the parking lot. Call me John Oliver.
Oh my God.
I'll write for cheap.
So the thing with
if I could
Harper-
pick any historical leader to talk to,
Yes.
it would be Roosevelt. Because not only was that cool, he went through a lot in his life, and I feel like he would just be an interesting human being. Like, have you ever heard
Like
about
any
the,
historical leader at all
ever? It
of
would
all
be
time?
Roosevelt.
Are you
Yep,
serious?
Roosevelt. Things like what I already talked about, but then more
Yeah.
personal things. Like he had a saying that I love that apparently he really liked because he used it in 2 different speeches throughout his career. Was walk softly and carry a big stick, or something to that effect. That was his approach to foreign policy, apparently. But the other thing that he did that was really super interesting to me is when I think it was while he was vice president, or maybe he was a governor in New York, or some political leader in New York. His wife and his mother passed away in the same evening, only a few hours apart,
Hmm.
from completely unrelated causes to each other. And we have his diary, like his journal or diary,
Right.
and all he wrote on that day was "the light has gone out of my life," and then he put a big X on the page. It is. I feel like he's been through some stuff and would be an interesting person to talk to.
Of all people, I would not have thought that was it. But
Teddy Roosevelt, man.
that's interesting. See, I'm a fan of Eisenhower.
Yeah, he'd be interesting.
As Eisenhower, he
Wartime
got
president.
stuff done too.
Mhm.
But here's the thing I believe with all of these is I think if you were to dig into their lives,
Mm-hmm.
I bet you all of them could be monumental dicks.
Oh, probably.
As you don't get to power without having an ego and having
Mhm.
the wherewithal of walking over some people.
And I imagine they're all like inordinately obsessive human beings. Like you look at like Churchill.
Yeah.
Outside of leading a country, Churchill was a garbage human being, apparently, both between how he treated people in his private life and his drinking habits. The man
That's what they say.
drank like
Yeah.
a soggy sailor,
Yeah.
and that was all that held him together.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was the fact that he was half sloshed all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Happy
imagine
drunk.
they were all. Yeah, I imagine they were all very problematic human beings on a personal level. I don't think you get like
What
you look
was-
at any.
What was that
Excuse me.
insult that he said? I'm going to look that up.
I don't know. But I think you think about any major, like anyone who leads a world changing thing. You look at Bezos, you look at Musk, you look at Steve Jobs as the more recent world changing people all in tech. They're all ranging from strange to outright problematic human beings as people go, rather than just as leaders.
So apparently there was a lady who came up to him and said to Churchill that if I were married to you, I'd put poison in your coffee. And he turned around immediately so quick and said, if I was married to you, I'd drink it.
Yes, I remember that. Kudos for the quick
Yeah.
wit.
He also said, he said, I'm ready to meet my maker. Whether my maker is prepared for the great ordeal of meeting me is another matter.
Also, a certain level of self awareness there.
And then he says, all I can say is I've taken more out of alcohol than alcohol has taken out of me.
I'm gonna look up. I just want to see if there's any quickly while we're on this subject. I want to see if there's any interesting Teddy Roosevelt quotes.
And this is one, and this is actually, I believe this is because any leader would have an attitude like this. An appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile, hoping the crocodile will eat him last.
Yeah.
And there is this attitude amongst, like, anybody who's good at what they do, or any sort of leader, there is sort of an invincibility and said, I can do this, and I will do it regardless of what's happening around me. And I'm not going to make you happy while I do it. What?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm enjoying some of these Teddy Roosevelt quotes. I didn't want to interrupt you.
It's okay. Let us in on the joke.
Not opposition, but the other side of the coin to what you were saying about people being people pleasers. Roosevelt said, the most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. But I like, where is it? When they call the roll in the Senate, the senators do not know whether to answer present or not guilty. Where is it? If you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your trouble, you wouldn't sit for a month. A vote is like a rifle. Its usefulness depends upon the character of the user.
So I'm reading some of his insults, and most of them are for people that he was running against, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But one was of the Secretary of State for Woodrow Wilson, a professional yodeler, a human trombone.
I have a mug of Shakespearean insults, and that rings true in that same vein. Courtesy is as much a mark of a gentleman as courage. Old age is like everything else. To make a success of it, you've got to start young.
This is so good. This is one that he attacked somebody, too small game to shoot twice.
Do not hit at all if it is honorably possible to avoid hitting, but never hit soft. I like that. Again, walk softly but carry a big stick.
Yep. A human trombone. So he's talking about one of the commissioners and Civil War veteran, the most intolerable slow of all men who ever adorned red tape. Henry James, of the novelist Henry James, he says, a little emasculated mass of inanity. What is inanity?
Inanity? Stupidity.
Oh.
Like if something is inane. I think there is only one quality worse than hardness of heart, and that is softness of head.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. That is gold. Go, Teddy.
I think when your job is speaking in front of a lot of people, I think you end up with really good speechwriters, and you get all the credit for the lines. But I'm almost sure that most of these were penned by speechwriters.
I'm sure many of them were. This is all hearsay because I was looking up the quote "walk softly and carry a big stick." Apparently, that is something that he, like a proverb or an adage that he heard.
Yeah,
and he used it repeatedly throughout his political career because it was one that he just really, really liked wherever he picked it up from.
Right.
It was a running gag, not gag, but a running bit.
Well, William,
I just like it.
He's your hero.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people I would talk to in history more than U.S. presidents, but.
Honestly, my wanting to talk to him has little to do with him being a president and more to just the quality of his character or the apparent quality of his character.
Oh, man, I'm yawning and I slept all afternoon.
That's probably why you're yawning.
William, we should wrap this up.
We should. I got to go make sandwiches.
Yeah, apparently your 48 hours sandwich or whatever the heck it is.
Just about.
Okay. Do you have anything to say to our fine viewers before we let them go away?
I do. Stay safe, don't die, and have yourselves a good night.